China right now is at a little bit of a crossroads. So we have an office in Beijing. I visit China at least 3 or 4 times a year. And China is experiencing, I think, a little bit of a slowdown. That's undeniable. I think where that goes, I think we just have to wait and see. But it doesn't mean there isn't opportunity. There is opportunity on the ground. So I talked to our head of China. I met with dozens of partners when I was in China. I spent 3 days there a couple of months ago. You just have to be selective, understand kind of how both the government and different sectors are likely to behave over the next couple of years. And so we're still deploying, albeit a little bit more cautiously. And then you look at developing Asia a little bit. So places like Indonesia, massive markets, huge potential, maybe a little bit more difficult to navigate, but certainly over the medium to long term, it's undoubted that there will be tremendous opportunity there. Telecom, financial services and fintech, so many different opportunities in markets like those.
So just 2 questions here for China and the United States on the macros. First to China, we've just seen this big Moody's downgrade. Do you think Beijing is doing enough to mitigate the downside risk there?
Look, so there's one thing that I've always seen, and that is that given enough time, China is eminently practical in the way that they manage their economic path forward. That doesn't mean that there aren't any bumps, and we've seen bumps. We see them in many different economies. But I think they're eminently practical. And given enough time, they will sort out the things that they need to sort out. So for example, right now people are talking about the real estate kind of hole that's happening in China. And clearly that's something that I'm sure the government is spending time working through, thinking about how they want to allocate risk and reward and do all that stuff. But again, given a long enough time horizon, and again, we've been investors in China for a long time, I do believe that the government and the custodians of the economy are ultimately very rational, very practical in the way that they look at economic development and how they want to chart that course. And so China will return to growth. Now, I can't tell you whether that long-term growth is going to be 4, 5, or 6%. Hard to predict. But there will be growth. And you're starting from such a large base that even, let's say, a 5% growth rate in the second largest economy on earth is still a lot of growth.